Le 13 juillet dernier, avec un engagement supplémentaire. Et dans l'actualité française, hier, au Conseil des ministres, le projet de loi de finances pour l'exercice 26 a été présenté et il y a dans ce projet de loi de finances un engagement supplémentaire de plus de 6 milliards d'euros. C'est dire si, bien évidemment, le budget qui est proposé consacre ces engagements du président de la République. Le deuxième message qui est le mien, c'est évidemment de rappeler le soutien de la France à l'Ukraine. La France est maintenant engagée depuis 2022. Vous le savez, ce sera aujourd'hui l'occasion de travailler avec mes homologues sur ces sujets. J'aurai bien sûr l'occasion de rencontrer mon homologue ukrainien avec lequel nous évoquerons l'ensemble de ces sujets. Je voudrais évidemment dire que je me réjouis de rencontrer mon homologue allemand, que je verrai également pour la première fois aujourd'hui, et bien évidemment les Anglais autour de la coalition, qui est aussi un élément très important. Le troisième message, c'est évidemment celui de notre défense, puisque nous le savons, si dans le soutien à l'Ukraine, nous remarquons que la Russie, malgré les discussions éventuelles de pourparlers, continue au quotidien à bombarder, et à bombarder notamment des éléments stratégiques majeurs. Je pense par exemple à tous les éléments de chauffage extrêmement importants, les sources énergétiques qui permettent au moment de l'hiver de se chauffer. Nous voyons qu'il y a une nécessité de se mobiliser. De la même manière, nous voyons que de plus en plus les espaces aériens des pays de l'OTAN ne sont pas respectés. Est-ce que cela est intentionnel ou pas? Je ne le dirai pas ce matin, mais dans tous les cas, cela montre la nécessité d'adapter notre défense et ce sera l'un des éléments que nous aurons également à travailler aujourd'hui. Merci beaucoup à chacune et chacun d'entre vous. Très bonne journée. Madame la ministre.
Ça joue en grec ou pas? Il est passé, Stéphane, déjà?
Stéphane, il est parti à pied.
Et où?
Good morning. Good morning, all. The UK and NATO nations meet today to ramp up our response to Russia's aggression. Putin's incursions into NATO territory are reckless, dangerous, and totally unacceptable. Deliberate or not, Putin is watching what we do. And Putin should be in no doubt. If NATO is threatened, we will act. And we must meet his escalation with our strength. And so today we are stepping up together. And I can announce the UK will extend our commitment to NATO's Eastern Sentry mission, which means British jets will continue to fly over Poland until the end of the year. And we are also ramping up our drone production for Ukraine, delivering over 100,000 drones this year, and jointly building new, improved interceptor drones with Ukraine. Putin seeks to test, to divide, to distract. NATO nations step up to deter, to unite, stronger together than ever. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. My name is David McGuinty. I'm Canada's Minister of National Defence. It's an honour to be back here at the gathering of ministers under the rubric of NATO. Canada remains firmly committed to NATO. The Prime Minister made an announcement some time ago to indicate Canada's commitment to the 2% target, a target we will meet 5 full years ahead of schedule as we rebuild, rearm, and reinvest in Canada's Canadian Armed Forces. We're investing in our people, we're investing in our bases, we're investing in our equipment. But I want to also make it very clear, Canada is fully committed to the alliance. Canada is fully committed to Ukraine. And I'm looking forward to today's discussions. I think they will be productive at an important moment. It's a turning moment in that region, a turning moment for other parts of the world. Canada is no longer protected by its geography, Canada has a special responsibility in particular with respect to the Arctic, something that we are addressing as we speak, making significant investments in our people and our infrastructure and our sovereignty there. So it's an important day today for us to gather again and take stock and address some of the important issues. Thank you very much for having me. Are there any questions?
Ukraine.
I'm looking forward to hearing what the United States has to say about further provision of equipment and sustainment of equipment in Ukraine. Canada was pleased to purchase one of the $500 million packages under the Pearl Initiative to provide the equipment that Ukraine obviously and desperately needs. So we'll see what the Americans have to say about that today.
The Pearl Initiative will make a difference for Ukraine. Can you explain, please?
Again?
How will this Pearl Initiative make a difference for Ukraine?
It's a coherent approach to equipment that's required and available immediately. A list which is devised by the Ukrainians in conjunction with the Americans. It's a list of material which is available now. It's an important moment, so we believe one of the first 3 or 4 countries to commit and to invest this way. We believe this will have an immediate impact. That equipment is already beginning to flow.
But the initiative is not picking up at the speed that the Americans had hoped. So how do you want to convince your European counterparts today to also invest more and purchase more through Pearl?
We'll talk about that. I'm sure the presentation by Ukrainian military and other officials will help all of us better understand what the real situation is on the ground.
How can it be a coherent plan if military aid to Ukraine has fallen over 40% in the past 2 months compared to the first 6 months of this year?
It'll be coherent because it'll be a coherent discussion about what the needs are. Let's see what our members have to say.
What does coherent mean?
Coherent means timely. It means the provision of the appropriate equipment. It means that it is provided in conjunction with each other. It is coordinated. It is directed at the right place, the right time, the right amount of material, the right material. Those are the conversations we'll have more today. Thank you very much. Merci.
Good morning, everyone. Today is a very important day for our collective defense and security. Of course, we are going to talk about the Russian aggression and about the risks that Russia is taking increasingly, and also the way in which the Russian threat is coming more and more on NATO territory. I was very proud that our Dutch F-35s were able to take out some Shahed drones in Poland, but of course we also need to learn from this. F-35s are not the most efficient way to take out drones, and we should find much more effective ways in order to do that. I was in Odessa myself this weekend. I was at one of the command centers for counter-UAS operations, and I've seen how innovative and efficient Ukraine is doing this, and I think this is a shining example that we should learn from. One other thing that we learned from our F-35 deployments is the issues around regulation, which SACEUR has also identified more broadly speaking. And the term patchwork is used a lot, but that's also something that we ourselves experience with our different missions at the eastern flank. Now with the F-35s and later this year with integrated air and missile defense. So I think it is very important that we work on those regulations and make them more united. Second, our support to Ukraine, more important than ever. We see almost on a daily basis heavy air attacks on the energy infrastructure in Ukraine. Ukrainians told me last weekend that the upcoming winter is going to be the heaviest one so far. And I think we need to make sure that we keep a continuous flow of support to Ukraine. The Netherlands is doing more than ever. A few days ago, I announced 200 million in counter-UAS support. Today, I announced another 90 million support package for drones, both ISR drones and attack drones, because we do see that Ukraine, the industry of Ukraine, still has the capacity to produce more, and that's why we invest another 90 million in order to do that. I think what's as important is that we change the underlying dynamic, because Putin now feels that he gains with every day of continuing the Russian aggression in Ukraine, and we need to make sure that the costs for Putin go up. That means a stable flow and also a long-term commitment to Ukraine when it comes to military support, both bilateral but also by using other means, just like the frozen assets. We should keep supporting Ukraine with deep strike capacities, so the costs for Russia go up. But also we need to make sure that by more sanctions, more economic pressure on Russia, that Putin feels that he can not continue this way. And that we, in the end, together with Ukraine, will prevail. And we need to change this underlying dynamic, and I think we should also discuss this today.
Minister, Netherlands are doing quite a lot in speeding up their defense spending at the moment, but for example, France, Italy and Spain, they are really lagging behind. How do you want to convince your counterparts today to speed it up?
I keep encouraging everyone to step up, also countries that are doing less at this point. And what I always say is the longer we wait, and if we don't act, then the cost will only increase more. So if we don't support Ukraine now, then I know that the number of Ukrainian refugees going to Europe will go up, and then the cost for everyone will go up. If Russia is able to push through, then the threat of Russia towards the rest of Europe will only grow. And then we need to invest more in our defense and deterrence. So I think the best investment in our security and also the most efficient investment in our security is to support Ukraine now and not wait until the situation gets worse.
On the Pearl Initiative,
I cannot answer three at the same time.
On the Pearl Initiative, how is this going to help strengthen our own defense if we invest in other equipment from outside of Europe?
Because it allows Ukraine to defend themselves. We as the Netherlands were the first country to fund an entire package, an entire Pearl package. And the reason was the only way to get, for example, Patriot missiles to Ukraine quickly is by the American stocks. And the only way to make that available is through the Pearl Initiative. It's the same is true for other types of air defense as well. And if we want to make sure that Ukraine is able to get through this winter, and that also the electricity infrastructure remains intact, then we need to invest in these Pearl packages. And that's why we as the Netherlands were the first to do that, also to encourage others to follow us. It's positive that some countries have done that. but I think more countries should also follow.
Minister, some countries are not doing.
How do you explain the lack of progress with the Pearl program? Are allies reluctant to buy American, for instance, or do you see any other explanations?
I think for every country has its particular reasons for not doing that. I think when you look at what we do as the Netherlands, so we have different priorities based on what Ukraine needs. I mentioned the 200 million package and today the additional 90 million package that we spent on drones. One of the reasons why we do that is that Ukraine needs those drones very urgently, and they tell us that they still have the industrial capacity to scale up. So that's also a very, I think, valuable investment. The same is true with our F-16 support. I was at one of the air bases a few days ago in Ukraine, and they also tell me to keep the F-16s up in the air, they also need to have a continuous flow of support. So also for the Netherlands, we do a lot. We are one of the countries that's doing the most. But given all the priorities that we have based on the needs of Ukraine, for us it's also more difficult. It's also difficult to spend more money on top of the 500 million we already did. So countries have different reasons for it. But I encourage everyone also to participate and at least do something. But Ukraine needs those missiles, for example, those air defense missiles right now.
What about should Trump give international regulations, international caveats Turkey wants to get rid of? Do the Netherlands have to make concessions on that front too? And which allies especially have to make an effort?
I think what you do see now is that regulations are different, or slightly different, and that makes it complicated when things get tough. When the F-35s are up in the air, you need to make sure that for everyone it's very clear what the regulations are, the rule of engagement, and also how then to get to an agreement with the authorities. Actually, that should have been done before that, before the F-35s are up in the air. And we support the efforts by SOCUR by making sure that those regulations are harmonized and that we have one set of rules for this.
And one more thing, there was another drone incident with an exercise with Dutch military taking part. Will you bring it up with your Polish colleague today, and could you provide any more details?
I will bring it up in general. Of course, I will discuss this with my Polish colleague. Also, the other drone incidents that happened, I will discuss with my colleagues. But at this point, I don't have any additional information to share.
Should Trump give Tomahawks to Ukraine?
We always said as the Netherlands that we are supporting deep strike operations by Ukraine, that there is no limit or no boundary to this in terms of kilometers, also no limit when it comes to the type of missiles. It's up to the US to decide. But if the United States decides to provide Tomahawk missiles, we will definitely support that. Thank you.
Albanien och Azerbaijan.
Varför i filmen Wag the Dog? Vad var det för?
Det var Albanien.
Det var Albanien, ja.
Albania.
So, good morning, good to see you all. And, today will be an important meeting with the defense ministers. We had a extremely successful summit in The Hague. We agreed, as you know, to ramp up defense spending to 5%, including 3.5 on core defense and 1.5 on all the important defense-related issues. It was a summit where we also discussed the defense industrial production, to ramp that up and to make sure that Ukraine is as strong as possible, staying in the fight. And today we will touch on all those issues and, of course, on what happened just recently, the drones, how to make sure that we can do even more to protect NATO against also these new developments. So this will be an important day. We will have Ukraine during the day in the lunch. We have a NATO-Ukraine Council where Dennis Shmihal, the defense minister, will be participating, and also Kaja Kallas, the EU High Representative. And then we will have later today, after I've seen you in the press conference, I look forward to that, of course, we will have a Ukraine Defense Contact Group where we will discuss ramping up the support for Ukraine even further under the leadership of the two defense ministers of Germany and the United Kingdom, Boris Pistorius and John Healey. And one of the issues we were discussing is this new program, which we launched only in August, the program where the United States is again delivering essential, lethal and non-lethal military support to Ukraine, paid for by allies, already 2 billion committed. And I have every reason to assume today that many other countries will sign up. This is crucial stuff, including air defense systems and particularly interceptors, important for Ukraine to make sure that their civilian population, their crucial infrastructure is as much protected as possible against the continuous Russian onslaught. So with that, happy to answer a few questions. And then again, we'll see each other later today in a press conference.
Drone wall helpful, or is it doubling up on NATO's efforts?
I can assure you that the EU and NATO are really working very well together. There is no doubling at all. Ursula von der Leyen, the President of the European Commission, myself, the relevant commissioners, including Kubilius and of course Kaja Kallas and the others, we are all making sure that we make use of the strengths of the two organizations. And NATO is good at the hard stuff, which is the standard setting, the capabilities, the military side. And the EU has the enormous soft power of the internal market, the enormous soft power of making sure the money is there, making sure that the nations in the EU are aligned. And this combination is crucial to work together. It's one of the things the Russians try to divide. They are not successful. We are working very well together.
What makes you so confident that there are going to be big announcements on the Pearl Initiative from the Europeans today? So far, there hasn't been a lot of movement.
There has been a lot. We have seen immediately when we launched the program, seen the Germans and the Dutch and the Canadians and the Swedes and the Danes and the Norwegians stepping up. But I assure you, but maybe I can tell you a little bit more during the press, that today other countries will come forward. I'm really positive. Of course, part of my task as Secretary General, and this has been the case for my predecessor, for me, is to make sure we keep the support for Ukraine as strong as possible. And I'm really proud that as a collective alliance, we are able to do that, to make sure that Ukraine stays in the fight as strong as possible.
Do you believe now is the time that Ukraine will receive longer-range offensive missiles?
Well, this is not an issue to be discussed today because that is a bilateral question. So what nations, yes or no, want to supply to Ukraine. But it's not on the table today.
From Balkans. What about Serbia's President Vucic about the declaration that it will have a war? He declared that nowadays, and Kosovo's institutions condemn that.
We follow all the events closely in the Western Balkans. Maybe it might also come up as an issue generally, but I'm not sure that it will be so specific as in your question.
From Ukraine. Did you change red lines regarding Russia after drones in European sky?
Well, there have been many questions about whether NATO is capable or not to make sure that if something happens in our airspace, we can act decisively if necessary. And we can. I can really assure you. The problem is this, that some are saying, not inside NATO, but sometimes in the public debate, that if a plane, a Russian plane, be it intentional or not, enters NATO airspace, that anyway you have to take it down. And I don't agree. I think you have to make sure that you are absolutely convinced whether yes or no it is posing a threat. If it is posing a threat, we can do everything needed to make sure the threat will not materialize. But if it is not posing a threat, a strong alliance, and NATO is so much stronger than Russia, we are infinitely more capable, then of course our role is to make sure that that plane drifted outside of its airspace into NATO airspace will gently be guided outside our airspace and then make clear to the Russians, stop doing this. It was a question from Ukraine. Yeah. Yes.
Secretary General, is there a need to make any NATO-level decision on shooting down the drones or whatever interferes with the airspace, or can any individual member state like Poland do it on their own without looking for any sort of permission from NATO? Thank you.
Let me, through you, and this is a Ukrainian question, but let me use your question to tell the Russians that if they intentionally would try anything against NATO, we have everything in place and all the authorities to make sure we can defend every inch of NATO airspace and NATO territory. When it comes to the drones, obviously learning from you, from Ukraine, we are making sure that we will implement as soon as possible the latest technologies. This is not new, you always have to adapt. But when you look at what happened in Poland and in Estonia, I think we acted exactly as you expect us to react, which is when it comes to the drones, to make sure that drones posing a threat were shot down, and when it comes to the MiG-31 into Estonian airspace, to assess whether they were a threat. They were not, so they were guided outside the airspace by Italian F-35s, and this is exactly how we trained and prepared. And hey guys, this is not new. We do this now for 60, 70 years. We did it with the Soviets, with the Russians. So some of this debate I'm seeing in the public sphere about does NATO have the authorities? Yes, we have. And obviously you every day have to make sure you adapt to the latest technologies. Final question, and then I'll see you this afternoon. Sir.
Allied military support has dropped.
I was thinking of the guy behind you, but you can also ask a question.
Okay, thank you. Allied military support has dropped considerably in the course of the summer. How do you explain, and are you concerned?
It has not. When you look at this year, it is more or less on average with last year, all the essential stuff going. And I'm proud of this, because we thought, the Russians thought probably when they started this war, first they thought they would win it in 3 weeks. Now we are in year 4. They have lost 1 million people, dead or seriously wounded. Only gained this year very incremental successes, very small size of Ukrainian territory. Again, 1 million people lost or seriously wounded, and the support for Ukraine last year, this year, continues to flow, lethal and non-lethal. Thank you so much, and I'll see you later today.
From Romania, I'm here today together with the other colleagues, other allies, to discuss about how we can move better, faster, especially on the eastern flank. We see the provocations in the last weeks, last months, and we understood that we have to move faster, better, quicker. And we support the initiative and the fast response from the Secretary General and the SACEUR when they announced the Eastern Sentry, and that means more capabilities, better air defense for the eastern flank. We have to show to our societies that they are protected, and we are doing that. We are updating the legislation. We have updated the legislation concerning the air defense interventions across the whole year, and now we can take down everything that flies without authorization on our airspace. We are also having the parliament, we've sent to the parliament a new law for voluntary conscription. We have a new law for defense. In November, the president will present to the parliament a new strategy for defense of Romania. We are working on this together. We are in this together. And first thing first, let's not forget, we are not in the war, and Ukraine is in the war. Ukraine is #1 priority for us. We have to support them. We have supported them from day one. We'll continue to do that. We are working together. They have to win this war. And then, sorry for it's a little bit. I have a small problem with the voice. And then after the peace process will start, because eventually this will start, we have to continue to be stronger and better, especially on the eastern flank, especially in the Black Sea, because the Black Sea will remain a sea of challenges, and we all together as allies, we have to protect that Black Sea. The Black Sea has to be a sea of peace. We are there, we are working together, and I can't wait to discuss with my colleagues. Thank you very much.
Do you feel supported by the NATO allies?
Can you repeat the question?
As a country on NATO's eastern flank, do you feel supported by the other allies?
Yes, for sure. Yeah, we are supported. We have allied troops, and this is reassuring for our society. We have around 5,000 soldiers, especially from USA, from France, and from Portugal, from Spain, from Poland. And that, again, is from Belgium. Is reassuring, and we thank them for that. We have equipments, but we need more. We need to show again to our societies that they are protected. We have air policing from Germany on our soil, and thank them for that. We've sent our troops. We have our troops in Poland. We've sent our troops on our planes in Lithuania. We'll send them again next year. This is NATO. This is how we work together. This is how we defend together our nations. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Americans are expecting more engagement from the Europeans on the Pearl initiative. What is the concrete contribution that Romania?
We'll have the discussion, and I will let the Secretary General to debrief after the meeting. Thank you very much.
Arms rested. Good. Good morning. Try to be quick. Of course, we have many topics to discuss. First and foremost, I would like to start with the airspace violation, what you all know, what occurred on 19th of September. And after that, we initiated the consultations of Article 4. As we see, Russia was intentional with that, or at least we see that they didn't obey to orders of our air controllers and also the fighter jets from Italy. So regarding that incident, I would like to thank actually our Italian counterparts. They did a very good job, and we saw that we can react if necessary. But if someone is in NATO's airspace for 12 minutes, that shows that this is a really long time, and we needed to react. So, of course, that shows also the importance of the air patrolling mission, what we have in the Baltic states. And of course, we need to see now how we can move on with the Eastern Sentry, what we can do additionally, what are the protocols, what are the procedures. So this is very important for us. Secondly, regarding Ukraine, unfortunately, we see some decrease of the military assistance. So this is why we decided additionally to that what we have already done, that we are sending also this week a lot of drones worth of tens of millions. We decided to join the Baltic Nordic pool package. So we know that 4 packages have been agreed already. So the next package will be Nordic Baltic, and we are very close to have the package fully committed. So this is a good news. Our contribution will be $12 million US. And of course, we have to see what we can do additionally for Ukraine. And Ukrainian Minister of Defense has a birthday today, so I believe that we should give some good birthday presents also to Ukrainian Minister of Defense. So when you have questions, I have many colleagues waiting. Yes.
With Ukrainians with drone interceptors?
With drone interceptors, I was a couple of weeks ago in Ukraine, and I visited also some factories, and we have a very good cooperation regarding our own capabilities. Some companies are producing already today drone interceptors. We have a long test day next week when we will see how effective they are, because even today, as Ukraine has been in this fight for more than 3 years, they still cannot see and catch around 20-25% of the drones. So, of course, the industry has to help us here how to intercept those drones. And we know also that the Garand 3 type of drones, which are using also the jet engines, are on the battlefield already today. So the industry has to work here very intensively, because I believe that all of the countries have the financing for that.
The Americans are expecting more contributions from the Europeans on the Pearl Initiative. What do you expect from the southern European countries today?
I expect all of the European countries will announce some good news, because, as I said, 4 packages, each worth of around $500 million, have been agreed. Nordic-Baltic Initiative, Nordic-Baltic package will be hopefully done very soon, maybe even today, let's see. But the reality is that the share of the US contributions to Ukraine has decreased significantly this year. So it's not only for us, it's all for all the allies to help Ukraine to win this war.
How do you assess the overall security of the eastern flank? Secretary General was just here and said very confidently that 1 aircraft could be escorted out and that would be enough. How do you see this?
Well, we believe in NATO, and we believe that the Baltic Air Patrolling mission has proven itself very well. So, of course, for us, it is important to keep the air patrolling missions, to strengthen also the Eastern Centre Initiative, and to see what we can do additionally. But it's not only the aircrafts; it's also the drones and many other, let's say, hybrid warfare tools what Russia is using. So this is why we have to be very vigilant and very careful here. So last question, please.
Comment on the closure of the road to the Satsé Boot and explain what was seen there?
It's not the news that Russia is using its own territory for different activities. So yes, this time they came very close to Estonian border. They stepped out from the woods to the road. And yes, the reality is that there is a short part of Estonian territory which is, let's say, with the booth entered from Russian side. So we had to do that, and at the moment we are building the new road to exclude that kind of incidents. But the reality is that Russia is using its territory. They are provoking also with the show-off that they are coming to the border. So we need to be pragmatic, but on the same time be very clear here that we will not allow any intrusions to our territory. So when they are on their side, it's their right.
Who are those Russians just across the border?
Well, you have to ask from the Russians. Will they ever answer to that to you or someone else? No, they don't. So they said to us that we didn't have anything extraordinary there. We just did what we always do, but we know that it was nothing like that. So communicating with Russia means that you can never expect that they will tell the truth. They will just tell what they want to say. It was the same also with MiGs. So they said that they were not in our airspace. So they were. So that's the reality. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, everyone. We are having important discussions ahead of us today at the NATO ministerial meeting, at the Ukraine support group, and also at the EU ministerial meeting. At the NATO ministerial meeting, the most important issue is making stronger NATO's defense and deterrence, of course. We are seeing that Russia is a truly long-term military threat towards alliance, and they are testing all the time Finland also. We have to speed up the implementation of the capability targets and, of course, the spending targets also. And the main responsibility is in the national governments. And that's why we are also emphasizing that the national governments and parliaments have to take now the concrete decisions to invest to the national defense capabilities. Through the national capabilities comes the stronger NATO, and that way we can decrease the threat what Russia is posing, of course, to the alliance. Finland is taking really seriously this urgency of the strengthening defense. Among other things, we are purchasing 64 F-35 fighter jets. We are buying new Navy's warships. We are also starting a new significant land forces reform. We are also reforming our conscript system so that we are raising the total reserve of our defense forces to over 1 million reservists. So we hope that all the countries are doing a lot now, and there has to be a sense of urgency at this moment. And this meeting is a good way to see the kind of the results and progress what each member states are now having. And the other main topic is the Ukraine support. Of course, we are seeing that the Russia is now consuming at a rapid pace their resources and coming more and more dependent on China and other allies. That's at the same time that's a sign of a strong will, but a sign of a weaker military and weaker economy. So at this point, it's crucial that the Western countries are increasing the support for Ukraine and also increasing the sanctions for Russian economy. That's the only way to achieve peace if we really want it. So, and from the Finnish point of view, we are constantly working hard to help Ukraine in political level, military level, and economical level also. This week we are giving a new support package for Ukraine, and we have also decided to join to the Pearl initiative because we see that it's crucial that the Ukraine gets the critical US weapons, and they have said that Europeans must pay the war, what is going on in our continent, and that's why Europeans have to find the money also for that. Thank you.
How do you expect your Southern European counterparts to find the money to both support the Pearl Initiative and also speed up their military spending?
Of course, we are emphasizing the solidarity that everyone in Europe has to take a fair share of the burden what comes from the Ukraine support. The US part and of course the European part. And now everyone has to find the money because this is a crucial moment. And the message is clear from the United States that the United States is providing these arms, but Europeans have to pay the Ukraine support overall sums.
Should the US provide tomahawks to Ukraine, and what difference would they make?
Well, that decision comes from the White House, but how we see it, that the long-range weapons are critical for Ukraine, and they will have a clear impact to the warfare if they will have them.
Some critics say there is too many national rules on the eastern flank, and that, for example, one aircraft or one drone cannot be shot because of the rules. Do you think NATO should have more powers to act fast?
Well, Finland has at this point quite a good readiness and preparedness in our national air defense and air surveillance system, and we have enough authorities also to operate in all circumstances, also use force if it's necessary. Now we are integrating our systems to NATO, and we see that there's a little bit work ahead of us in legislation and bureaucracy, but that work is in a right track going on in Sakhar's table.
Russian presence near Finland borders, military presence?
Yes, we are seeing in different facilities what they are now building up. So we are taking this with cool head because it's an old plan, but now we know that the Russia is really doing their military build-up for the second phase of their potential aggression. And what I mean this is that they are real threats for NATO after the Ukrainian war. So they are really doing the military modernization and new build-up. And the signs have been seen also nearby our borders.
Is Finland going to do a practice evacuation as some of the Baltic states have announced that they will do?
Could you repeat?
Some of the Baltic states recently announced that they were going to practice a civilian evacuation in the event of hostilities from Russia. Is Finland, which also has a very strong civil defense culture, going to do something similar?
Well, that's kind of a traditional way to in Finland that we are always prepared and we have exercises so that we are not now kind of declaring any new kind of preparations or exercises at this point.
Would you consider something on a population level?
Well, we don't have this kind of planning ongoing now.
Media over here.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Hi.
that Sweden thinks is absolutely necessary right now. First, invest into our own counter-drone and air defense capabilities. Sweden made an announcement just last week that we're investing 350 million euros in increased counter-drone capabilities. We were able to support our Danish friends during the meeting in Copenhagen, investing into capabilities. Number two is to make sure that NATO has a strong ability to deter and defend. We strongly welcome Eastern Century. Sweden stands ready to contribute to Eastern Century as well. The third point, also strengthening SACEUR's mandate to move around assets and capability within allied territory. This is very important. Also assuring that we have the right rules of engagement for SACEUR, also to be operating and controlling aircrafts on allied territory. So there's a few things that we're going to be mentioning today, and of course Sweden is very committed to Ukraine support. We welcome the Pearl Initiative, and we stand ready also to contribute, make new contributions to Pearl. I'll be glad to take any questions you might have.
Are the rules of engagement clear to you, Minister?
Sorry?
Are the rules of engagement clear to you, Minister? And should NATO's regulations between the allies be harmonised?
Swedish rules of engagement is crystal clear since 1983. We have if someone makes an incursion into the Swedish airspace, we will defend Swedish territory. And it's a mandate of the pilot or the commander of the surface vessels who makes the call. And that's good, and we would like that model also to be inspire others to do that. Having a strong and clear rules of engagement, I think there's room for improvement within the alliance, and I know also SACEUR is working very closely on that one.
Can you be more specific on Sweden's contribution on Pearl today, and also what do you expect from your Spanish and Italian counterparts in terms of engagement in Pearl?
Two things. Sweden stands ready to do more. We did, of course, the second package together with Norway and Denmark. Then Sweden contributed 250 million euros on that. And then we stand ready also to do further packages. I know there's an ongoing dialogue right now among others among the Nordic-Baltic countries. The other one is burden sharing, and this is critical now because we've been seeing the wrong trajectory when it comes to support to Ukraine, that it's been going down. We want to see more stepping up to enhance and increase the financial support and military donations to Ukraine.
Will Sweden send Gripen to Ukraine?
We don't exclude that possibility, but of course, as you might know, we were advised by the Air Force Coalition to wait with such measures and then instead focusing on our airborne early sensors. And that's something that we are providing to the Ukrainians, which will provide a capability for the Ukrainians to do command and control of the F-16, but I don't exclude the possibilities for Gripen in the future. And we are in a dialogue with the Ukrainian part because I know that they have, of course, have a strong interest into the Gripen system.
So you were told to wait in order to send those sensors first?
Exactly, and I think there would be a challenge if you do 3 fighter aircraft systems at the same time. Of course, with F-16 and with the Mirage. Now, of course, we're seeing progress being done there, and it's do strengthen Ukraine's air defense systems. And I know there's an interest on the Ukrainian side on Gripen Echo, for example, the new version, and we would welcome, of course, that as well. And we are in a dialogue with the Ukrainian side on that one. Last question, if anyone. No? Then I go to the Swedish one. All right, thank you.
Θα συμμετέχει σήμερα στη Σύνοδο των Υπουργών Άμυνας του ΝΑΤΟ, έχοντας ένα μακρύ ιστορικό υψηλών επιδόσεων και επενδύσεων στον τομέα της άμυνας. Προχωρούμε με σταθερά βήματα στον εξυγχρονισμό των ενόπλων δυνάμεων, με έξυπνες και μεθοδικές λύσεις, και αυτό αποτελεί μια ευίωνη προοπτική για τα αποτελέσματα της Συνόδου, τα οποία πιστεύουμε ότι θα αποτελέσουν το εφαλτήριο για την προσαρμογή της συμμαχίας στις νέες γεωπολιτικές εξελίξεις, όπως αυτές σήμερα διαγράφονται στην ευρύτερη περιοχή. Σας ευχαριστώ.
Today that we do have to go from air police to air defense, but we have to ensure that countries on the border with Russia and Belarus have to have enough resources and flexibility, speed of reaction and pooling of resources for air defense on the border is a priority for all of the alliance. Now, another message is that agreements of Hague Summit have any meaning only if they are up to date. We do not really need 5% for defense in 10 years or in 15 years. We do need them now. Lithuania has more than 4% this year, and we are going to have well over 5% since next year, because we understand that we are racing against time. And the first day that the front in Ukraine stops badly, that means that we will have to count not years, but months until crisis reaches us. So talking about Ukraine, Lithuania is going to contribute $30 million to Pearl today. We can transfer this money today if needed. And we're really hoping that the next package will be formed as soon as possible.
Madam Minister, Secretary General Rutте has said that Russian planes should be guided gently out of NATO airspace. Do you think that's an appropriate adverb?
Well, wording gently, I think, is very diplomatic. But in the current situation, of course, we have to send a very clear message that our airspace is our airspace. Yes, in certain situations, maybe pilots do get lost. Maybe things like that happen. Like ships in the shadow fleet get lost over the cables and accidentally cut them. So we have a lot of confusion and a lot of inability to track their own actions from Russia. I hope you understand that this is irony. But in current situation, what we already have ability to neutralize objects in our airspace that pose danger to our citizens. When we talk about Gerberas or Shaheds, the drones that are armed or that can be armed, we need to take precautions and we need to react swiftly. Lithuania has changed legislation to ensure that there is no need for political permission for each time that an object needs to be neutralized. As a minister, I issued an order that Air Force can make that decision without waiting for political decisions. Also closing airspace so that civilian objects are removed, and that NATO pilots, that fighter jets can do their job without fear to damage civilian objects is done also in Lithuania. I'm hoping that all other countries will ensure that caveats or exceptions that prevent immediate reaction by our Air Force are removed as fast as possible. Nobody can have time in the sky for political negotiations.
Which actions do you expect from the U.S. today when it comes to the use of long-range missiles for Ukraine and Russian targets?
I think this is something that we are all awaiting for a very long time. For Russia, strategic dilemmas is their tool, is their weapon. Russia is very good at creating strategic dilemmas for us. Are we finally ready to create strategic dilemmas for Russia? And strategic dilemma is not less reward or more reward. Strategic dilemma is more pain or less pain. And therefore, until Russia does not feel that they will suffer consequences of their war of aggression that would impair their ability to expand their military power, until then, everything else is just talk.
How do we make those consequences when we've been trying to hurt Russia since the start of the war?
There is a result, as you see. Their economy really does experience quite a lot of challenges. Percentage of federal budget which goes to military needs would not be sufferable for any normal country, for any democratic country. But we still have influx of cash through other countries, enablers of Russian war. So therefore, secondary sanctions really need to be full scale.
I really want to welcome Pete Gegseta here to NATO again, to the defense ministers meeting. This will be an important meeting because we had a successful summit in The Hague. And there is now much more cash on the table. There is firepower coming out of our defense industry, which is so important. And we are doing everything collectively to keep Ukraine strong. But I particularly want to thank President Trump and you personally for your leadership and the whole team for the fact that NATO is now much stronger, more lethal, but it is also fairer. Because we know that since President Eisenhower, there was this constant irritant that, yes, NATO was there, the US was committed, but also had a clear expectation that EU allies and Canada would step up. And we took that historic decision in The Hague, thanks to your leadership, equalizing defense spending on this side of the pond and in Canada with what the US is spending. And I think that's extremely important. And I also want to thank President Trump and you personally again, and of course the whole American leadership team for the fact that when it comes to Ukraine, you decided to again make sure that they have what they need from the US, paid for by allies, and that program is now running. 2 billion committed so far, and today I expect many new announcements of countries who will participate. So all in all, we are making great progress. Again, thank you so much, Pete, for everything you are doing. Mark.
It's great to see you. Great to see you. Absolutely. Great to be here. And Mark mentioned it, firepower. That's what is coming, we expect and is coming from NATO. And it was a historic summit just a couple of months ago, brought about by leadership of President Trump to say we need our allies to step up. And they did, and they have, in those commitments. Now those commitments will soon translate into capabilities, which is the most important aspect of it. And one part of that, of course, is Pearl, is the initiative where European countries buy U.S. weapons, transfer to NATO for the fight in Ukraine to bring peace to that conflict. And if there's anything we've learned under President Trump, is the active application of peace through strength. You get peace when you are strong. Not when you use strong words or wag your finger. You get it when you have strong and real capabilities that adversaries respect. And I believe that's what NATO is doing. I believe that's what the Pearl Initiative is. So our expectation today is that more countries donate even more, that they purchase even more to provide for Ukraine to bring that conflict to a peaceful conclusion. I would also note a historic moment as well for a lot of things to happen, given what the President's been able to do in Gaza and throughout the Middle East. I think the world is seeing that we have a peace president who seeks that peace through standing by those that stand with the United States and stand for peace, which is what we saw there, and I hope we can see in Ukraine. So that's the focus of our efforts. We're going to be strong to bring that about, and thanks for having us.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. See you later today at Pressers.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, media representatives. Today is an important day after The Hague. The defense ministers of NATO are meeting. Today also have a meeting among the European Union ministers as well. So it once more underlines the importance of cooperating, of synergy between two institutions, between the EU and NATO. It is important that we invest in military industry in Europe, actually to achieve the NATO military targets, capability targets. So that's why investment is crucial. What we have decided in The Hague, it must be also implemented, so the implementation stage is important. Latvia is doing its homework. Already we agreed that next year's budget will be almost 5% from our GDP, and 2027 it's more than 5%, so we are moving to implementing all those capability targets. The second important aspect, what we will be discussing today, of course, everything which is related to air defense. So air defense is crucial. So that's why Eastern Sentry, the NATO Eastern Sentry, is instrumental in providing also additional assets, but it's also about national activities. So nationally, it is important to build a especially system which is able to deal with drones, to counter drones. So detection, the countermeasures, and also integration command chains are absolutely crucial in this regard. Latvia has introduced acoustic detection system, one of the first such ones. So of course for us, the eastern flank, the eastern border, we must remember it's not just Latvia's eastern border, but it's also the external border of EU and NATO. Last but not least, always support for Ukraine. The Latvia provides 0.25%. We are contributing to Pearl initiative. So that's why those initiatives where we can buy and where we can acquire and additionally provide equipment for Ukrainian side is absolutely crucial. Latvia is also co-leading drone coalition, so drones are still remain as crucial asset in a warfare. Yes, absolutely. Already we have stated it together, 3 Baltic countries, that we have to move from the Baltic air policing to air defense mission. In many ways, we already have achieved the Air Policing Plus, Baltic Air Policing Plus mission. What does it mean? It means that already last year, after the very serious incidents in our skies, when also the incident happened on Latvian soil, when Russian drone crashed, we immediately engaged actively with NATO, and the fighter jets, Baltic Air Policing was also ready to take off, also to address and to potentially counter those objects in the skies, also potentially if they are drones.
What do you clear to you should be harmonized among the allies?
Once more?
The rules of engagement among NATO allies, should they be harmonized?
Of course, it is important that we are always on the same page, that we are all on the same page strategically, that we are willing and also able to deal specifically under specific circumstances. And that's why, yes, we have different nations being part of Baltic Air Policing. So, of course, it is important that it's really also synergized and synchronized among the nations as well.
What do you respond to concerns that a shift from air policing to air defense would mean that we are no longer in peace operating times?
We are not formally at war, but we are not operating at peace times. Let's be also realistic on this one. We are absolutely facing the hybrid warfare activities, the cyber attacks, disinformation campaigns, weaponization of legal migration, the incidents against critical infrastructure, and what we see recently, violation of airspace. So we cannot call it that we are living at peacetime. So that's why we should respond also adequately. And Baltic Air Policing, which is now our plus, which would be rebranded, reframed as a Baltic defense, it would reflect those new realities, already not so new realities, but generally those geopolitical realities, first of all. And second, of course, it would also provide additional aspects how we engage under specific circumstances. So that's why, yes, we should move forward with Baltic defense mission.
Why is the use of American Tomahawk so crucial for Ukraine right now?
Well, every weaponry is crucial for Ukraine, weaponry which is also able to hit targets on aggressor soil. And these are legitimate targets, military bases, production lines. So certainly as Russia bombs, assaults civil infrastructure and kills civilians, for the Ukraine it is also a legitimate right to hit the military targets. So, because this is also self-defense. So that's also what NATO is absolutely projecting, that in any circumstances, if any scenario, we would be also willing and able to hit with deep strikes. And absolutely, this is the important part of defense and important part of deterrence in this case. And I think this would be also important part of Ukrainian defense and deterrence. Don't hit our targets because we can hit you back. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hi, good morning everybody. Bonjour, goedemorgen. Oui, tout va bien, absolument. So, my new airplane, it's great. It's great. We have 3. We wanted to have 4, but the 4th is coming. No, I'm very happy to announce today that we will sign an agreement with the Netherlands to have more missile defense system. It will be the NASAMS system, Norwegian system. We will buy NASAMS to protect our skies. And we're totally engaged within Eastern Sentry operation. We did a proposal, so we will talk about this today. We will have more anti-drone and detection systems as soon as possible. I will come to the government within 2 weeks with a dossier to buy more and to get them up and running before March next year. So it will go very fast. And I think that's the most important for today. We keep on supporting Ukraine, of course. I'm very happy to see Ukrainian people here at the headquarters, at the entrance, because we will keep on supporting Ukraine. We announced 100 million for the Pearl package, and we will see what we can do even more next coming days. We're having the budget discussion within the Belgian government for the moment. There's not agreement. We had the State of the Union was planned yesterday. We had to postpone it because there's not a deal for the moment within the government for the moment. But hopefully next week we will have an agreement, and then we will also discuss about what we're going to do more and what we can do in 2026 for Ukraine. Support package of 1 billion is on table, like we're doing every year. I think that will be no problem. And then on the frozen assets, it is a discussion that is in the hands of my Prime Minister, so I don't comment on that.
Could you tell us more about Belgium's plans for a dedicated drone unit and drone general?
Our drone general is there. I indicated him. He's the first drone general of the world, I think. So I indicated him, I think, 4 months ago.
Good morning. Good morning and welcome to this meeting of NATO defense ministers. This session will focus on how we will make our deterrence and defense even stronger, building, of course, on the historic decisions taken at the summit in The Hague to massively increase defense spending and defense production. We will discuss progress on implementing NATO's new capability targets, making sure we have the best armed forces ready to protect our people. We will also take stock of NATO's missions and operations and our new activity Eastern Sentry, which strengthens our security starting with the eastern flank. And we will launch further work to tackle the challenges we face from drones. We will also examine the progress we made to enhance the defense industrial base on both sides of the Atlantic, because military and industrial might go hand in hand. And we will address our steadfast support for Ukraine and for President Trump's unwavering efforts to secure a just and lasting peace. NATO continues to help Ukraine defend itself. This includes the most recent NATO initiative that has already channeled $2 billion of US equipment paid for by allies into Ukraine. And there's more to come. Our support is putting pressure on Putin today. And our support to help Ukraine strengthen its own capabilities for the long term will help deter any Russian aggression in the future. And this clearly contributes to our own security too. This concludes this part of the meeting. I want to thank the media for joining us, and then we will continue in a closed session. But to the media, thank you. We'll meet later at the pressers.